Hey everyone, it's Gavin Stevens. Just before we get into this episode, it's our bonus episode of Master Race Debaters, or the 25 minutes on one topic, unedited, uncut, raw. Before we get into it, I just want to give you a heads up that it's a bit of a long episode. We went double the length because we were talking about the Munk Debates, in particular Jordan Peterson and Micheal Dyson, and what happened there, and got a little bit irate, so it went on. But I still think it's entertaining, so I hope you enjoy it. Also, remember, you can follow us on Master Race Debaters, MRD on Twitter, MRD Podcast on Twitter, MRD Podcast on Instagram, and our MRD Podcast on Facebook. And you can follow me, gavinstevens.ca, and Gavin B Stevens on Twitter, Gavin Stevens on Facebook, and Count Gavin on Instagram. All right, here we go. Here's the episode. It's gotten extra long with this intro. Okay. Pause.
Oh.
X. Okay.
Wait.
So, welcome to another episode. Let's give a bit of a break because that was a horrible intro. But anyway, I'm going to put it up like this so it doesn't matter. Welcome to another bonus episode of Master Race Debaters. It's me, B Black.
B Black.
Every other week, what we do is we take a subject or a topic and we do 25 minutes and just free flow, talk, and discuss. This week, we're talking about, I guess after the Munk Debates with Jordan Peterson and Micheal Dyson and Stephen Fry, and I forget the woman's name, sorry, but
Micheal Goldberg.
There you go. And so we're going to talk about kind of the results of that, but the idea of how to debate or debate on that level of, because I have opinions on Jordan Peterson, so do you. So
we all do.
Yeah. So okay, I'm going to start the clock. Let me put this in. All right, ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay, so yeah, I think it's a responsibility, especially maybe I won't say black people, but people who are fighting against the right. I guess that's the best way to say it. I guess we're SJWs.
You know that I'm in denial too, man. I hate being called SJW, but fuck it. If that's what it is, it is.
It's the tricks the devil pulled on us.
Yeah.
To make all that, So it's to understand how to debate, to understand how to talk on their level, because it's not even about being right either. I think, and like when I do Facebook debates, which I do a lot, it's not about being right. It's for me, it's kind of virtue signaling. Like I'm telling people how shitty his argument is. I'm not trying to convince him. I'm trying to tell other.
You're talking to the audience.
To the audience.
Yeah, the people reading on the side. Yeah. Good point. Good idea. No, you're right. That's I've accepted the fact, if I'm arguing with someone, I accepted the fact that the chances are slim that this person's going to change their mind. They're convinced of their conclusion, whatever. So at this point, it's the audience. I'm trying to persuade the people around us, listening in, trying to make sense of our conversation.
Now, I'm with you. Like, you're not gonna just talk to the people that are like-minded or understand, or on the fence, who are like, well, maybe. Like I remember one time some guy was quoting statistics, which statistics are the fuck, because you can manipulate it to anything. You can say black people commit more crimes, but if you look closely at the idea that black neighborhoods are policed more, you go, okay, yeah, well, anyone's going to commit more crimes if you're policed 3 times as much. Right, when your scrutiny is taken away. So, also white people are arrested more, but black people spend more time in jail or longer percentages in jail for the same crimes. So, so we watched that Jordan Peterson thing, and everyone was like, "Oh, fucking Jordan Peterson and Stephen Fry, they wrecked." Micheal Dyson and the woman, and I'm like, and I watched all these videos because I watched it the night of. And I was caught into it. It felt like garbage. First of all, like the whole debate felt like boxing or a monster truck rally. Like it felt like
that's how you saw it, like a monster truck. Okay,
yeah, it just didn't feel. It felt like a fight.
It felt like a fight. Okay.
It didn't feel like they were trying to come to an understanding. Like it felt like a fight. Maybe I don't understand how those Munk debates are supposed to be. But that's how it felt.
I felt like it was more of 2 groups preaching to their own choir. Except Jordan Peterson and Stephen Fry's choir were fucking outnumbered us in the studio, in the audience, and on the internet apparently.
But like that's my thing is like Stephen Fry and Jordan Peterson. First of all, they didn't find what political correctness is on their end. It didn't say like, okay, well, this is why I hate political correctness. They didn't define it, and then everyone started screaming about Michael Eric Dyson doing the race card. It's like, but isn't that?
Yeah.
Isn't that what
the fuck?
Like, isn't that part of political correctness? Is about race and gender and sexuality and like where am I? What the fuck?
I guess if I saw the world through a white dude, through a white dude's eye, and by white dude I'm talking about the target audience of Jordan Peterson. Through a dude's eyes, I guess yes, race is irrelevant. This politically correctness shit is just a bunch of things created to make my life difficult.
Yeah, to make my life
like there's no cause. There's no cause for it, man. It's just I'm just feeling the effect.
I can't. The slightest pressure, but he's like Jordan Peterson. Also, like I guess he wants them to debate identity politics. And the idea of group mentality, or what they call tribalism, which I find is fucking racist as shit. The word tribalism, it's just like, I've used it a few times, but I find it like just, ugh. It's such a colonial term. Tribalism.
You know what I mean?
It's because it's never used as a positive term. It's used always negative. It's tribalism. It's wild people. Yeah. Anyway, non-thinking people getting together. Yeah. But he was arguing against groups, and he had a point about how if we give groups rights, then you have to worry about the flip side, where like, how do we hold groups responsible? Like, do we use guilt? And that's terrible. We've seen that in history. That's the other point, is that every time you mention like we've seen this in history, or there's evidence that proves that, he never shows the evidence. He never says, "Oh," I'm like, "Okay, so when did this happen?" He never says it. He just keeps going. The evidence proves this, which is like, that's not even. You haven't proven anything. You just said something that you know, but you're not sharing it with other people. And so he's arguing against civil rights, which I'm like, are you Captain America? Did you just get thawed out? Like, what do you, like, that argument has been debated. It's done. It's over.
Hey, can we can we just slow down real quick? Just quickly establish with the listeners, because something we brought up there before this conversation.
Sure.
Gavin pretty much understood, or I'm giving Gavin credit, like, he reads more books than me, or he went to university, but he understood what Jordan Peterson said. Jordan Peterson the whole time only made me realize, fuck, English is definitely my second language, because I have no idea what that dude was. All I know is he was dressed nice, and he was just saying a bunch of things that people who don't like me were clapping to.
He's hard to listen. He exhausts you with the way he talks, because he talks very smart and he uses a lot of big words and shit.
Right, exactly.
But it's all distraction.
Like, old me would have felt intimidated, would have been like, oh, wow, okay, well, I guess I'm too stupid to take part in this conversation.
But you know how you feel when you listen to him? You know how you feel where you're like, this motherfucker is saying some shit.
You know what I mean?
You're not wrong. You're absolutely right.
Yo,
he is arguing that women shouldn't be in the workplace.
Yo, I feel like Avon Barksdale. If you haven't seen The Wire, shame on you. Anyways, I feel like Avon Bark realizing that my friend Stringer is getting bullshitted by these suits right now. Like, exactly. I don't know what they're saying, but I can tell you it's a bullshit deal.
It's some bullshit.
You know what I mean?
You're not wrong. And then the when he turns around, that's not what I mean. That's gaslighting.
Yeah.
He's a psychologist. He knows how to manipulate people. He studied how to manipulate people. Nice. This guy's. They should call him Jordan Patreon. That's what he's about.
Trying to get this money.
He even said on a video that he makes so much money off pissing off SJW.
Yes.
That's what he does.
Yes. Yeah.
That's all he does. That's it. There's no argument. There is no argument. Like to what was that video I sent you where he's talking about they broke down 3 of his arguments, and basically it's like women are here to breed. It's like it sounds like a white dude from the 1950s. A Christian white dude from the 1950s, just like, well, you know what? He had that argument. Sorry I'm rambling.
No, keep going.
He had this argument about attractive women in law firms, and what happens when you want to have babies when you're in your 30s. Like, these are intelligent women, and all of a sudden they hit 30 and they want to have a baby. They have to leave their job and they lose all that stuff.
They lose all that stuff. Yeah.
And it's like, but that's a straw man argument, because if you dedicated yourself to law and you went to school and you're smart, you've planned out when you're gonna have kids. You've planned out a lot of shit. Also, that doesn't include like fucking middle class people or working class people who have kids all the time and deal with this shit. Like the ideas of like, oh well, women shouldn't work because you're at some point you're gonna want to have kids.
Yeah.
And to a man and a woman can't work. It's like. Man, fucking, do you realize the economy? Men and women are working in the same house. That's just our economy. We can't afford not to.
Yeah, we need to be we need this dual income thing going on.
We have a dual income. Like these arguments are like, it's an old man. It's like talking to an old man.
An old man. Okay, I'm going to confess, man. I'm going to confess that I'm going to get myself in trouble, right? Deep down inside of me, and again, confession, you're the pastor. No, you're the priest, okay, listening to this sin I'm about to say. Deep down inside me, I would love to go back to the world where I was the shit. I was the provider, and I'm coming home to my hot wife who takes care of the kids, the house, and everything, and just gasses my ego. And because back in the day we used to make jobs that provided for the entire family, and basically I was the motherfucking man. And
honestly, that
baby,
that's nothing wrong with that desire. I think like to be like, hey, I want to be the provider for my entire family. That's a thing programmed into our system.
I'm talking about
to think that way.
I'm talking about where women were not individuals. They were, this is your role, fit into this dress, fit into this miniskirt, wear these fucking heels. Fuck you mean you got a headache? We're having sex tonight. You know what I mean?
And here's the problem, right? Okay, but the burden should be on you, right? Like the burden for you to find a woman that acts that way for you should be on you. It shouldn't be on women to act that way for you.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm getting at. Yeah. In addition, I want them to find me.
Yeah, exactly. It's like what he said in the New York Times article. He's like, we should have institutional monogamy. So like fucking, he's talking about how these incel kids who are killing people and driving vans into stuff. We should have women who fuck them.
Yes,
but the government should provide them women to fuck. I didn't say that. I didn't say that. You misinterpret. Fuck off, dude.
I'm saying, yeah. I guess I'm saying I understand the appeal in the world Jordan Peterson is trying to protect, and the fellas that buy into it, that's it. You know what I mean? The reason I'm working this mediocre job is because these chicks want rights. You know what I mean?
Well, it's the dichotomy, the cognitive dissonance of his message, right? Because he's all about clean up your room and stand up straight. That's not hyperbole. That's what he says. Because these little things will as soon open the gates to happiness. And you can, but at the same time. Women are destroying you. Women are against you. Women are making it tough for you. That's your problem. Yeah. Women are and black people. They're making it tough.
Oh, they're making it tough. Yeah, these minorities. Too much about
black, but he says about women. They're making it tough.
Yeah. Fuck it. The good old the white man can't be the way he wants to be.
But look at the argument. If women, what do we know about? Should women be working in the workplace? I mean, what all this harassment and sexual harassment stuff is it? Have we figured this out? It's like, what year are you living in? It's a pretty simple concept. Like the burden of women working in the workplace because they wear lipstick isn't on women. That's on men to stop fucking harassing women. It's a simple fucking concept. I'm not an idiot. As a man, I'm not an idiot. I can understand the goddamn concept.
Yep. The question I asked you earlier. I like your answers, and I'm going to ask the listener.
1 second. What the problem is like he's all about take personal responsibility, except when it comes to these situations. So there's a dichotomy because he peppers this stuff into his arguments because he's dog whistling to that audience. Take responsibility because these are the keys to life. You're going to become a famous rich person or whatever. You're going to have a great life. Get back on track. Everything's going to be great. But also, these are the people that are fucking with you too. It's like, take responsibility for your life, but you don't have to take responsibility because women are working.
Yeah, it's like not catch-22. It's like I hear you. I get you.
It's like Jordan Peterson. He makes no goddamn sense. His arguments make no like in the debate. He said he was like, oh well, what does well, what's the line? Like I know what the line is. Lefts have crossed that line all the time, but I want to know from you what's the line.
Right.
Okay, and the woman's like, oh well, it's
that question confused me.
It's I guess murder or death or violence and something. Well, that's not good enough.
Right?
Well, who the fuck? Like,
motherfucker.
No true Scotsman argument. It's not good enough.
Where's the line? That one confused the fuck out of me because every time you ask. For me, when you ask, what's the line of the left? Now, I don't consider myself any political affiliations. I'm just part of the group of human beings who just wants to heal, who just want to move forward. So when he asked, when the left, I took it as when you people talk about making progress, how do we know you've gone too far? That's what confusing about that question. It was
because it's a red herring. It's not a real question.
It's not a real question. Yeah, he was fucking with me.
It is. He's fucking with. There's no. And then when he's like, and then when they put it on, like he never puts out anything substantive. He never says anything except he appeals to the audience. He never says anything where it's like, okay, what's your point? What are you saying about political correctness? Well, it's gone too far, and you can see in the left, you see throughout history how the left's ideas have destroyed. Like talk about the ideas. And it's like, well, you could talk about the right idea. Like you can use that on both ends. The right has destroyed societies all the time. We see it. Like 2008, George Bush. They had to bail out the fucking banks they needed socialism to save a right-wing capitalist country. Capitalism is is right-wing, and they needed socialism, a left-wing ideology, to bail out the country. Or else it would have went bankrupt.
Or else it would have gone bankrupt.
It's all strawman. It's his lobster argument is strawman. It's like, because of the animal kingdom. They need hierarchies because the animal kingdom naturally uses hierarchies. Okay, but that could be any hierarchy.
Yeah.
Like it's not specific to North American hierarchies.
Yep. Yo, you know how Michael Dyson got in trouble for using the race? Oh no, for calling. That was a trigger, by the way, for those people. When he called Jordan Peterson an angry white man. What I like about that part is that. Before he got to that, before he called him an angry white man, he was talking about, Jordan Peterson, what the fuck do you have to be mad at? You sell more books than I do. People know you on Twitter. Like you're like caking in this industry. I wish I had your success. And I like how you called him. And now you're just being like this angry white man, like the mad rapper,
Yeah, you're not angry. It's faux. It's pseudo angry.
You're mad. You're a hater. You're being a hater. It's like, fuck. I'm like, you got all this shit. And to confirm this, I was telling Gavin earlier how one of my coworkers who didn't understand why I how do I say this? Got a little upset when he used I want to say upset, but felt the type of way when he used the expression back of the bus to simply express that you're in the back of the queue, right? He was trying to say, I'm in the back of the queue, but I understood, but I heard, but he used the term back of the bus. First thing I'm thinking about is Rosa Parks and Outkast's song, Rosa Parks and shit, right? So I joked with him. I said, dude, too soon. You're trying to joke with him, right? And this dude got all guilty about it and everything. Now I'm developing a profile, okay? So basically, think of a white guy who's not used to dealing with black people and their history, okay? So that profile. When I told him about the debate, oh shit, man. No, a good guy. I'm trying to say he's a good guy, right? But when I told him about the debate, he knew who Jordan Peterson was, but he didn't know who Michael Dyson was. I'm like, of course, it's like predictable. Of course.
Yeah, he doesn't need to know. He doesn't.
I don't need to.
And so Michael Dyson is just race baiting because Michael Eric Dyson, works in the humanities. That's what I was saying to my wife. I'm like, but they brought on a guy who specializes in race.
Right.
That's what he studies is racism.
Right.
So to turn around and go, he's playing the race card. It's like, but then. Oh, so you're trying to take... They do this shit all the time. They do this shit all the time. They try to take away your strengths. They take away your strengths. They do it in comedy all the time. Yeah. Oh, you can't... The only reason you got laughs is because of this.
Exactly, yeah.
You're like, fucking... They try to take away your strengths.
Yeah.
And make you feel guilty for having them.
Yeah.
That's... I'm not saying that Michael Eric Dyson doesn't have other strengths or he doesn't understand anything else. But I'm saying is he's in a political... They brought him in for political correctness for a reason.
Yeah.
They set these people up for a reason. It wasn't just random people.
Yeah. yeah. It kind of reminds me of the last time someone asked me, I fell for the trap. They said, I don't understand why these blacks would loot their own neighborhood after a police shooting. And then when I try to explain and use words like systematic racism or anything like that, oh fuck, man, why you gotta bring up slavery? It's in the past. Yeah. Why you gotta? Fuck. It's in the past. You ask me for an explanation. It's like you ask, you want me to explain to you how light works, but I can't talk about electricity. You know what I mean? What the fuck?
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna rape you. I'm gonna rape your wife for 300 years, and then one day I'm gonna say we're equal, but not really. But we're equal, but shut up about it now. Like, stop it. Like, it shouldn't affect you at this point.
It's some old bullshit, yo.
And that's the thing, because that's what Michael Eric Dyson was talking about political correctness. He was saying that you're talking about, like, he was trying to explain white privilege and this idea and why there's political correctness, but no one... If you don't buy into that, if you don't want to believe it, you don't hear what it's word salad.
It's word salad.
That's all it is. It's just a dude mumbling or garbly gook to you. It's like, it's all horse. If you like, no, we're all equal now. It's fine. The system's fine.
Yeah.
Everyone sees racism, but no one's like fucking Donald Glover's video. This is what I fucking don't understand.
Break it down.
Donald Glover's video is the highest viewed video in YouTube history. Like, it's fucking...
Holy shit.
And everyone's like, oh my God, it's so deep, it's so deep, it's so deep, it's so deep, it's so deep. But no one thinks racism exists. But when you bring it up, it's like, shut up about it already. Like, how does that cognitive dissonance exist?
How do you explain racism to someone who doesn't want to hear about it?
But they understand it because they call cops. They understand it. They understand it. It's not that they don't they understand their power.
Bro,
they understand it.
Dyson killed it. I love his example of a fish asking, "What the fuck's water?" I mean, like you've been in like this racist system for so long, you can't tell the difference between for humanity. And for me, the only reason I'm not. It's not that I'm a genius. The only reason I'm able to understand, let's say, feminism, sexism, misogyny is because I keep comparing it to racism. It's like an institution of power, but for me as a guy, it's hard for me to see. Oh well, okay, that is sexist. Like
if you open your eyes, like if you go, okay, well, like I was saying about the white privilege argument that Jordan Peterson had, the straw man argument about, so how much percentage do you want? Do you want 15% or 20%?
Yeah.
Like when is enough for you? It's like if you're going to go into an argument about white privilege, at least understand the opposition's argument.
Yes.
At least understand it.
At least that.
At least where they're coming from. At least give it that much respect.
Problem is if I give validity to your side of the argument, I might lose mine.
Right, exactly. If I have to research it, then I have to because listen, I've been going through this in my head for a couple of days. I'm like, okay, so everyone agrees that there's systemic racism, and you don't even have to agree. The statistics, the studies, Pew Research has pointed out that this thing exists. It exists. Yeah. We know it exists based on
science has said it. Science, racial bias.
Right.
Yes,
and numbers have said it.
Yeah.
We agree based on history that white people have created this country. Let's use Canada. We agree that the majority of white people, the majority of power is with white people, the courts, the government. So if systemic racism exists and white people are in charge of the country, how do you tell me that there's no white privilege? Like, how do you tell me that? If systemic racism exists and white people are in the charge of the country, how can I not put that blame on them? Because to Jordan Peterson, he's looking at it as I'm an individual white person. You need to look at me as an individual white person.
Yes.
But I'm also going to look at you as a group. I'm going to look at you as a group, but you have to look at me as an individual white person. And you are blaming me for this. And what do you want? It's like, well, no.
Right.
I just want you to recognize that you have a leg up in this system.
It's a con game, man. It's a con game.
I want you to recognize that you have a leg up in the system. And I want you to understand that it's hard. And once you realize you have a leg up in the system, you have to change your ideas on it. You have to look at it and go, oh, this is fucked.
Yeah. But what happens when you're? I'm trying to think of it. Right, you and I are brothers, okay? And mom is like keeps giving me preferential treatment. What exactly is my incentive to be like, hey?
But you can't even see that Mon's giving you preferential treatment unless you recognize the system.
Unless you recognize... Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And all they recognize is the economic system. That's all they recognize. And then, like, I've seen people talk about, like, they're like, oh, it's talking about blacks being poor. It's just economics. So what you're saying is blacks are just prone to being poor.
Yeah, exactly.
And you say that to them, they go, no, that's not what I mean. But then
That's
what
not what I mean.
Like, what is your answer? Either you have a white supremacist answer, or you have, there's systemic racism. Like, it's one of the two.
When it comes to racism, what's interesting is even black people grew up developing negative opinions about black people. I used to think that, we're predestined to being poor. We're behind on everything because we're lazy. And like all that shit was fed into me. I had to get to a point where I realized that, you're being fed this shit. It's not true. It's not a reality. People need you to believe you're inferior for this system to keep going. Kind of like slavery.
I went for a walk and I see there's a lot of homeless tent cities happening in my town.
Oh, word?
Like tent cities, like homeless people setting up areas to live. And I'm like, there was a time when I would have been like, this place is disgusting. These fucking people need to move.
Right.
But now I'm like, we have a problem.
Something's wrong with this economy. It's not right that I'm eating and they're not.
They're trying to live.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're just trying to live.
Yes.
Honestly,
well said.
It's an eyesore, but you have to look at it like they have nothing.
Yes.
And they're trying to live.
Yes.
So something needs to be done with the system. Like, we need places for them to go. Mm-hmm. As opposed to like, oh, this is fucking gentrify and kick them out.
Yeah. I heard, I read somewhere that for the royal weddings, it's this weekend, they cleared out some homeless folks. So for the red carpet, hey, come on, man, we can't.
Why are people so happy about this? Like, so a black woman's gonna become white? Is that what's?
That's a longer story, man.
They finally anointed us to be.
You know what I mean? Hey, they stopped calling us niggers. Celebrate.
Who gives a shit?
I'm thinking of that scene in Game of Thrones. Spoiler! No, it's not a spoiler, but this Lady Olenna said, look, man, poor folks need distractions, man. If we don't give them distractions, they're going to create some, and some of the distraction might involve our heads I'm paraphrasing. So fuck it, man.
We didn't get to it, but we just hit 25. But I think there's a need to understand how to debate and how to talk these people's language. Like Jordan, to see Jordan Peterson for what it is.
Yeah.
Because to just like we talked about that MP Micheal Chavez when she was just like, "You're a white man, you can't understand," which she was right, 100% right.
Selena,
but you need she needs, but we need to understand the argument at a fundamental level.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, agreed. Malcolm X, happy birthday, Malcolm X. But Malcolm X said the same thing. I don't know the exact words, but if you plan on talking to these people, you got to be able to speak their language and not let them.
You know what pisses them off? Nothing. You know. Here's the thing. Whenever I get into debates with these people, I get into debates all the time online because I love. I want to do like a debate show. I mean, this is kind of a debate, but we don't. But I get and whenever they start losing an argument, the first thing they say is, "Oh, you didn't read that article."
Oh, dude.
They start trying to make you sound stupid.
Yes.
And that's ad hominem. And that's when you're like, oh, I won this.
Discredit. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's how you see it. Okay.
Or you're just left biased.
Yo, I have a Trump supporter relative, and as soon as he gets to name call, I'm like, okay, I won. Checkmate.
You won. Well, yeah. Like your friend, who I don't think he's a bad guy. I just think he's hasn't pivot his position to be in 2018, and he gave me a lot of Jordan Peterson points of views. Like it was like talking to Jordan Peterson, and then when you're like, okay, but let's talk about politics. Jordan Peterson's horrible at politics.
He's horrible at politics. Yeah,
horrible at politics. He's terrible at politics. He's about psychology, and so it's all flowery and think pieces because white people can afford to be in like mind temples or thinking. What was the holodeck? They can be on holodecks and just sit around and holodeck all day long. We have to talk real world politics.
Real world politics, yes, exactly.
And I'm like, well, let's talk about policy. Let's talk about fucking how police our neighborhoods are policed 3 times as much. Let's talk about how we get harsher sentences. Let's talk about the real world shit and not the chaos of feminism. And like, fuck off with that shit. Let's talk about real world shit. Let's talk about in real world politics, because I can't. That's the one thing I learned from Patrice O'Neill. Is like, all your fucking big words and flowery shit, I don't give a fuck.
Respect.
That's not your ideas.
Exactly. Yeah, no, you ain't trying to impress me. I know when someone's trying to confuse me, or try to put a fast one on me.
That's the one thing I get frustrated watching, like that debate or watching the news. I'm like, why is anyone calling them on their bullshit? Like, if I was there, I would have been like, that's strawman. You're strawmanning.
You're right.
And then Jordan Peterson would have been all angry. Like, he gets so angry.
Oh, shit. See, in case like, had you done that, say, okay, black guy getting angry. Cut the commercial.
But it's strawman. It's a strawman argument to say, oh, how much, we can't give, when we start giving groups rights. We already did. We've given groups rights. How do you punish groups? Well, I don't know. Have you seen a corporation that spills chemicals in? That's a group. They deal with them. They have laws and shit. Like it's fucking stupid. And you're also like, you're talking about a group. Like, okay, say you're giving black people the vote, right? Or say you can't discriminate when in hiring practices with black people. So you're giving them civil rights. You're giving them. It's not like, oh, well, it doesn't make any sense because those rights work on an individual level. They don't work as like black people couldn't get that job. It's I'm a black person. You can't stop me from getting the job.
It's like affirmative action. It's like, fuck, you're mad at black people benefited from affirmative action, but you're not mad at Donald Trump benefited from the ultimate affirmative action.
Well, this is what my thing with Jordan Peterson. It isn't Jordan Peterson that makes me mad. It's his fans.
It's his fans, yeah. Exactly.
Quote him.
He's just riding the wave, man. He's selling books. Yeah. He's making a lot of money. Before he was just some boring-ass university teacher. Yeah. Now he's like a fucking celebrity. I can't get mad at him for riding that wave.
Well, and what made him popular was that he refused to use pronouns.
Yes.
But he also won't stand by that. He'll be like, no, but I use the proper pronouns with my students. Yeah. But stand by it then.
Yeah, props to Micheal Goldberg.
The argument is fake. The argument is a straw man argument. To say that I don't want to be locked up because I don't want to use proper pronouns, that's not what's happening.
That's
Bill
not what's happening.
C-16 is to put the proper pronouns in our Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which everyone has. Everyone is in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Ethnicity, religion, gender, and now pronouns. Everyone's covered in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. It means that government and corporations can't discriminate against you. It is horseshit that he says that if I say the wrong pronoun, then I'm going to get locked up.
I mean,
you're full of fucking shit.
He's trying to scare the audience. You hear that?
Exactly. he's just riling up.
Oh shit, dude! Yo, history repeats itself. They used to. Yo, we get rid of segregation, and your daughters are going to get raped by these black guys.
Exactly. The Southern strategy is like that's the number one thing they've been using. That Trump just used it. Southern strategy is all about fucking racism, and that's what they, that's how they win elections. That's how they win. It's racism. They play to their base. Yeah. And that's the thing I'm envious of white dudes. It's like, I mean, you see a couple of black people doing it. Like Candace Owens, Red Pill Black.
Oh my God!
Become famous. She's full of shit, man.
She's amazing in her ability to get under my skin with a smile on her face.
She is so full of shit.
Oh my God! I made the mistake. No, I won't say mistake. Is actually. So what are we doing? We going into overtime here? Or?
Yeah, we're in overtime. It's okay. We'll do a couple minutes.
A couple of minutes. Yo, no. It goes back to I'm following her on Twitter, and I'll tell you why I do that. Because I'm looking at the question I asked you earlier. It's like, okay, so what happens when a minority feels like they're making progression, they're moving forward, and the majority is like, fuck that. This is dangerous for us. Do we slow down, or do we continue on moving forward?
Like you're saying, like from before. Do we wait for them to catch up?
Do we wait for them to catch up? Okay. Now I've been on this, so I follow the Candace Owens of the world, just so that I can explain to her followers why she's wrong. Like she'll make an argument, she'll say shit that they'll love, and now I understand how they're gonna come at me. So this is me trying to run back to the people behind and say, look, this is why we need to move forward. This is why this current system is not working out for us. And then,
but the followers are stuck in a culture war.
Break it down.
You know what I mean? It's perceived it's all reactionary. It's all perceived a fucking a grievance. It's all grievance. It's fake grievance, and you're. I don't think like I've let those people go. I don't.
You've let those people go. But
I let those because I can't. What am I going to do with that?
Problem
what am
is
I going to do with like fucking like.
But problem
like
is,
a dude mad at me for political correctness or upset that he can't say. How come I can't make fun of Daniel Woodrow's parents? And I was like, well, I can't explain that to you. It's called being a good person.
Good point. Good point.
No one's stopping you from doing it. Like I can't. You can't keep retreading this stuff.
You can't get
or debating fucking pseudoscience has been debunked for how many years? Like the idea of fucking like they're bringing back Charles Murray, the author of The Bell Curve. It's and he talked about how blacks are inferior intellectually, and it's like that's been debunked.
That's been
the whole thing's been debunked. Like none of it makes any fucking sense.
So what? Okay, so let's go back to like the Civil War in the States. Okay, I guess it was different. So in the States, when they decided that we need to free the slaves, I'm sure that was an unpopular opinion.
Yeah.
How did they sell it to the door?
Blacks are still paying for it. What was it? When they left the South. You know why you got so many black people in L.A. or in Compton and places like that.
In Oakland, because they left the South. Yeah.
Because they were being terrorized in the South. They were being lynched. They were being murdered. They had to get the fuck out.
Yeah, when you're hearing about friends disappearing, it's like, we got to move.
Houses were lit on fire.
Yes,
what was it called? It was
Reconstruction era?
Migration. Black people left
because
they were being terrorized in the South.
Yes. I get that. Yeah. So
and you're supposed to go, well, that's over. So
that's interesting. So going back to my example, so it kind of agrees with what you're saying. Is like, fuck it, just ally yourself with people who see it the same way.
Yeah, man, fuck it. We live in aren't you tired? Aren't you tired? Like, I got to convince you that my pain is real.
Yeah,
I got to convince you that
exactly.
I live in this, so you want me to sit there, ignore it, and just accept that you're better.
Yeah. Like the Malcolm X saying about progress. Yeah, you want me to accept the fact that the knife we went from 9-inch inside of me to 8-inch inside of me and call it progress. No, I need that motherfucker out.
Need it out. Well, and look how angry when I got the vibe from Jordan Peterson, the amount of anger he had from the ad hominem attack, that he didn't like a black man talking to him.
That's what I'm saying. Yo, that dude nearly called him a boy. So, go get me some coffee, boy. Oh, well.
That's the vibe I got.
I got the same thing, too.
And then Michael Eric Dyson was like, you're just not used to, because they call him a snake oil salesman, and he's like, you're just not used to. I hear that all the time. White people get mad when I'm teaching their kids and shit. They're just not used to.
Yeah.
An educated black man.
Actually,
that's why I'm like I'm all for understanding the debate terms, understanding what a straw man is, understanding what no true Scotsman, understand that shit, understand
gaslighting,
on an intellectual level, because that pisses them off even more.
Yeah,
when you're like, hey, no, I'll break you down and make you angry. I'll make you so fucking mad it's not funny.
And
I'll prove that you're a racist just by in this conversation. We'll do it right now. I can prove you're like I do it all the time, and you're like. They get to a point where they don't have anything to say. They have to stop.
What you said about Eric Dyson not used to a black man in that position. How many black male teachers have you had in your lifetime?
Not many.
Yeah, they did a stats. Like a lot of people can't speak about having a black dude as their teacher. I had a substitute teacher. Fucked up. He was Haitian, and he knew my parents, so I had to calm down. But I've never had so I guess it is kind of weird
I don't
for
think
them.
I've ever had a black.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's weird for them unless he's a magical Negro. Yeah. I have no reason to listen to this black guy.
Even if it's not on purpose, there's something's wrong.
Yes, something's wrong. Exactly.
Even if it's not a sinister, like you can argue, okay, well, the police. Black people get arrested 3 times, not 3 times the amount as white people, and then someone will go, "Well, you're trying to say that the police have a sinister motivation?" No, but they do police black neighborhoods more.
Yeah.
It's like that's a fact. So maybe it's not sinister, but it is. There is a discrimination. There is a unfair balance.
Exactly. I'm not trying to say everyone on the right is racist, but I am saying racist people tend to be on the right.
Hey, fuck. And that's the other thing. He's like, I'm not right wing. Just fucking own it. You're
Jesus
totally right wing.
Yeah, man.
You're just fucking. You're supporting fucking the status quo.
Yeah.
You think white men should be on top and women should be pregnant and shut the fuck up and not being in the workplace.
Yeah.
They shouldn't be in the workplace.
Yeah.
That's where he's arguing from. Like it's fucking Captain America. It's like it's watching Encino Man. Women shouldn't be in the workplace. Oh, okay. Well, nice. How do you even take on that? Like that's a debate. Like you know what I mean? Like we're past that. It's like, oh, should we debate about whether we should be using horse and buggy still? Like,
you know what I mean?
like,
yo,
it's like the coal miners. It's like, oh, we should bring back coal. It's like, well, it's done. You know that.
I don't think we should break down human beings between good and evil. We should break them down between those who want to move forward and those who just want to go backwards or not move at all.
That's the joke. Is like it's always arguing about going back in time. It's
yes,
like you don't. Then stop using phones.
Yes,
stop using cell phones.
Yeah.
Stop using the internet. Go back and live like a fucking pioneer. Then live like a pioneer,
bro.
Live in a log cabin, chop some wood, shut the fuck up.
I'm old enough to remember when computers were introduced into the workplace, and knowing this one guy, he got fired because he refused to work with computers. Imagine that.
It's just a fad.
It's just a fad. Exactly.
Remember when people used to say hip hop was a fad? I'm trying to write a joke.
Hip hop was a
fad.
Used to
say hip hop was a fad. It's a fad.
The internet was a. I remember when people said the internet was a fad. Hip hop was a fad. I remember all that shit. Yes.
Stupid motherfucker. It's like at least racist hipsters have at least they try to live, with their penny farthing bikes and their fucking, natural milk and their beard mustache. At least they try to live in. Man, that's the problem. Hipsters love to be old school. So we can go back to a time when black people would take their hat off when I came.
Hey man, that's why I can't watch Mad Men. I get triggered too much. I'm like, fuck. Man, somewhere there's a black guy who can't walk in because it's a whites only section. I can't stop thinking about that period.
Well,
in time.
Mad Men's. I'm rewatching Mad Men, right? The creator, that show is about white supremacy. That's what the creator said. The creator said it's about living up to white supremacy. The show's about white supremacy.
White male supremacy.
I'm rewatching that show because it's living in the past and how these people, everyone's so flawed because they can't live up to the image of white supremacy.
Okay. So you just sold it to me, homeboy.
Yeah, I'm watching it again. Okay. Now it becomes interesting, right?
Okay.
I've always liked Mad Men. I always liked that show.
That's interesting.
But that adds a different dimension to it. Yeah, I don't know. I just think we need to learn. I don't understand how he's like the leading intellectual because I just watch an idiot. It's like you're a fucking moron. Like,
but that's what I'm saying. To you, he's an idiot, but yet his audience is like, yo, that dude is speaking the truth.
Because he's dog whistling.
He's like the Pope for them. He's like their Pope.
He's just telling them what they want to hear. It's like, we should go back in time.
Yeah,
when things were good. It's like, oh my god.
And that's what my confession was about. The fact that I could be tempted to buy into what he's selling. Like I get it. Yes, the reason why I'm mediocre. Going back in time,
that means you're going to suffer too.
I get that. I get that. No, if it wasn't for the fact I had knowledge of self, I know who I am. I'd be buying into. Yeah, no, I want this world, man. Put your chicks. Go back to the kitchen, looking hot. Stroking my ego and black people. Well, not all blacks because I'm part of the good ones, so it won't. I won't be affected.
Women don't know their place, and I can't get good women because I'm mediocre. But women should know their place again.
Hey, yeah. And the only valid relationships are the heterosexual ones, and maybe I'll give a pass on unless it's two lesbians.
Fuck these idiots. Nothing's worse than nothing's worse than arguing with people that use them as quotes.
Yeah.
Boom. Like they drop and you're like, motherfucker,
bro.
He's not saying anything.
I put you in a category as soon as you say, yeah, like Jordan Peterson was saying, okay, all right, this is where this is going. Okay.
Exactly. It's like, especially when they're like close to our age and they're quoting, and you're like, do you have your own opinions? I always think about that Good Will Hunting when it's like, I read that book and I read that book and like I remember getting fight arguments with guys when Trump got elected, and they're like, "Oh, but they're worried about their culture," and I'm like, "Yeah, you know that's the same argument how the Klan started. Like,
yes.
Oh, what are you talking about?" And you're like, "But that's the same. This is not a new argument. This is old as shit."
Yeah, exactly. I read history, motherfucker. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like they were worried about their culture being appropriated by black people or black people assimilating into the country. You know, they didn't. You know, during the civil rights, they didn't want black people to fight. And you know why they didn't want black people to fight in the Civil War? Because they realized that because you know how they had the fucking hard on for soldiers. They realized that if they made black people soldiers, them becoming regular citizens was just around the corner.
We're just around the corner. Yeah,
just around the corner. They were like you can't. But they started losing. You know how many people died in that Civil War? 750,000 people.
Shit.
And that's why they hate black people because they fought a war they felt they shouldn't have to.
They shouldn't have to. Yeah. yeah, we got blamed for it, but not the rich. Right. Yeah, blame the rich.
Shut the fuck up. But that's my Jordan Peterson. Is the people who like if you're 40 years old and you're quoting Jordan Peterson and you're like, dude, you need to grow the fuck up.
You know what's sad about what you just said is the fact that I know dudes like that, like that I'm chilled with, and this is our line in the sand, like. Some dudes will accuse. Actually, I remember trying to explain to this guy how I'm starting to understand women's issue more often. I can't remember what the exact thing said, what the exact word I said, and this dude comes out like this. So when did you become a pussy?
Yeah,
wow.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
My tribe has disowned me.
I'm starting to see women as humans.
Exactly. Well, that's pretty much what I was saying. I'm starting to see women as human. And like, so when did you become a pussy? Like, whoa, wow. That's where we're
Exactly.
That's where
it's just fucking stupid. You're an idiot.
That's why we're mad. Yeah. You're going to be left behind.
You're the dude in every single civil rights movie. Civil rights movie that's like yelling at black people going into the pool or black people getting on the bus. You're that dude. It's arguments that have been already debated and discussed. Women in the workplace, but do we know? It's been like how many fucking years women are in the work? Like at this point, we just have to. Women are not going to let that power go. That's just a fact. They're embracing it more and more. And if that upsets you. You are living in the wrong time.
Right.
Compete. That's it. You're gonna have to compete with other people, and you're not. But there was a simpler time when they wanted my cum. Why can't they just want my cum? Fucking idiots. I don't even know. Like this is their idea of the market of free ideas or whatever. It's like,
Chief,
you just want to talk about old shit.
Chief, yo, I like both Micheal and Michael Eric Dyson said, yo, dude, we would agree with you if we could be individuals. Once we're in that part, then everything you're saying is right. But we're trying right now, the basic minimum, the shit you take for granted, we're trying to get for ourselves.
Oh, but don't you have what you're hoarding about? He didn't say anything in that debate.
Yeah. I would love to.
And anyone that says he's did are lying to you because he said absolutely nothing in that debate.
That's how it sounded to me, man.
And dog whistled.
All I heard was wah 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 wah.
He just all he said was like the argument of how much of the privilege you want, and then he got mad at he deflected. He put a red herring by getting mad at Michael Eric Dyson for calling him an angry white man.
Yo, what the fuck, dude? You're making all this fucking money. What the fuck you mad at? Jesus Christ.
You bring my race into this. And,
hey, man,
hear white. When they hear white, they get fucking...
It was a trigger. It was a trigger word for them.
It was a total trigger.
Right.
This episode went way too long.
It doubled. You doubled.
It doubled. We doubled it.
So you could call it overtime.
It's a bonus overtime. Do you want to say anything, or do you have any?
I don't know. This is fun, man. I really liked watching that debate. Shout out to Michael Eric Dyson for holding it down.
My frustration is that he's not going to get the props that he deserves.
Oh no, it's sad. It's sad. But I'm used to my heroes being a joke to these people, to these guys. Yeah. You know, fuck. Nas never won an award.
Guy's never. He's not even talking English. He brings in the race card. The race card.
All I heard was ooga ooga ooga.
Yeah. The race card. Oh, it's a race card again. I hate hearing that term, the race card. I know who gave these people this fucking term. The race card.
Gritted and Barrett. Yeah, man.
I think did it come out during the OJ trial?
What's that?
The term race card?
The term race card? Almost deaf. Wait a minute. Hold on a second. But OJ used it.
When it was invented?
No, that's a good question.
I don't know. I hate it. I hate when regular people are just like, oh, you heard racism, so it's the race card.
I joke about how I used to have a black boss, and he sucked at his job. For first black guy in my professional career to be my boss, and he sucked at his job, and it got so bad that I ended up allying with the other white people to get rid of him. And how fucked that would be if he pulled the race card.
Well, exactly.
Because then it's gonna look like all these racist white dude and me allying with them. Oh fuck!
I'm sure that's happened many, many times. All right, I'm gonna end it on this one.
Respect, man. Yo, that's fun, man.
Stop it now.
Yeah.